Alright, welcome back to my channel. Today is day 2 of tackling the Agapanthus here at Jade and Katie's house. The Agapanthus behind me on the other side of this big Agapanthus were the ones we tackled on day 1. You can go back on my channel and suss that video out. We ended up bending a steel framed spade in half yesterday, so we ended up getting a crowbar. These Agapanthus are well rooted, so if you have trouble getting your Agapanthus out because they're in a really tight area and they're well overgrown, this is the video for you. I've got my gloves, I've got my spade and my crowbar and some brute force. Let's get to it. When you see me pulling out these Agapanthus that haven't been completely dug up and you're yanking at them to break those root systems to come out, what you need to do is grab the collar of the Agapanthus. So here's the root ball here. You go up just above that line of roots and you grab the Agapanthus like this, and then you are yanking it as hard as you can. This is the strongest part of the plant that's outside of the root ball. So that's what's attached to all of these roots, this strong rhizome, and you yank it until it comes free. Now, I won't lie, it's a workout. I'm puffing, I'm already red. I've been only going in this garden for about 20 minutes. I'm exhausted. It is a long process, but once they're out, they're done. You can divide them, make them smaller, replant them if you like. I think I would likely not put Agapanthus back into this garden bed because it is so narrow. The dirt is only this wide, and then you've got the concrete, and then you've got the same again on the other side. It's not enough room for Agapanthus to grow into. So I'll be suggesting to the owners here not to replant the Agapanthus in this garden, but there is some down the bottom of the garden here that I believe will be perfect for Agapanthus to fill that gap. But for this standard Agapanthus, it's just too large for this narrow area here. It's entirely up to them, and I'll see what they want before I replant anything into this garden. Inner side, because I removed these Aggies I was able to cut in here, but it has grown on top of itself for so many years that it's actually on top of the concrete on this side that I can't get the spade in to be able to free this side, and it's so attached to that concrete that I just can't even budge it. So I'm going to be destroying some of those Aggies, unfortunately. Grab right underneath. Got it. Let me take you in so you can see what I'm saying with how overgrown they are. So in here, this is soil. The roots are just thick all the way up to above the soil line here. The concrete edge is here, but the Aggie roots stop midway over that concrete, which is why I'm struggling to get it off. It's attached itself to the concrete and then it's grown on top of it, so I can't actually get the spade down the side of the Aggie. And you can hear that the roots are snapping, but it's going to be a bit of a task. the concrete stops here. That's why they've grown so big and so lush, because they've had the room to root down into the garden bed and to actually produce a stronger plant. These Agapanthus would most likely have been planted the same time as the rest of them, and it just shows you, put them in the right environment, they'll grow better for you, they'll grow bigger for you, and I would most likely assume they would grow more flowers for you as well. Now, looking in there as I push down on here, and you can see quite well underneath it, under here. So the front has been detached from the ground, the middle has been detached from the ground, and it looks like just the back side of the Agapanthus that needs to be detached. So I free this Agapanthus at the front and on this side. I freed it on the other side, but it's got this post in the middle, and around that post has Agapanthus, and they're all the roots, they have tangled together, meshed together, and they're holding on tight. So to separate them, I'm going to put the crowbar down and try and slice those roots in a line, and then hopefully coming in from the side here with that line of roots cut along that length of post, it will then separate and come away from the larger clump. There we are. Can almost get the crowbar all the way through there. So I'm going to keep that crowbar underneath, just stepping on it on the far side while I grab the collar of these plants and give it a, oh, it's free. Now I've got to use my muscles. Grabbing the collar, and the biggest collars, don't choose a small collar, choose the meatiest one that you can find in the point that you want it, not a thin Agapanthus, get the meaty ones. And on the count of 3 I'll pull it and hopefully spin it to land on the top out of the garden bed. 1, 2, 3. It's still connected on this closest wall. No, it's connected by water tubing. Okay. Of course, a prime example of why the irrigation for Agapanthus, don't put it on the ground. If you can, put it above on a structure so that it mists over the Agapanthus, and they really don't need that much water, so irrigating them isn't essential unless it's going to be in a holiday house where you're not visiting very often to do the watering. But again, put those irrigation up high so that it's misting over them, because as you'll see here, the tube of the irrigation has meshed itself in with the tubing of the roots, and now it's stuck by just that one piece of irrigation. Let's have a look again, pulling it the other direction. So it's really embedded in there. Oh, when working with a hatchet on the root ball of an Agapanthus, you want to start from the roots. You don't want to start from the leaves. You want to see what you're doing and try and separate that root ball here from the bottom. The leaves will come apart naturally when you split this root ball. Now I've got some irrigation holding onto this whole root ball, which is why I can't take it away from the garden bed at this point. So carefully with this, still with some force, but carefully not hitting that irrigation pipe. I'm going to separate this root ball to hopefully free this irrigation pipe. The clump then will be easier to transport, as well as hopefully preserving this irrigation lining for the homeowners here. The irrigation lining is coming in here, so I'm just going to carefully chip away down here. There's decorative rocks from where they have originally planted it inside here, so I will be working on that. Just working my way down. I can see this one Agapanthus, if I can pry it out, just this one singular one here, that was holding the Agapanthus in. It's not moving at all, so just carefully to pull it apart. If you grab one side with a good collar of an Agapanthus and then push the root ball on the other, sometimes you can prise it apart without having to hatch it all the way through. Not at this point in time. I'm going to keep going. There's another single Agapanthus here. Get rid of that. And it's just slowly opening it up. Oh. And there we have the irrigation tubing is out. And that's definitely the end. We haven't cut it. It has a stopper in the end. So removing that from the equation. Now, removing all sharp objects as well. I should be able to remove this root ball, this whole clump, onto the top here to access the garden bed. And rolling it off. And she's free. All free out of the garden bed. This is all open and exposed. I found a gnome. He would have been missing for years. So now I'm free to get into this Agapanthus. We've still got a rock edge at the back here, and I've got the post to be wary of as well. I might be able to just free up some of that space. It hasn't grown too close to the post. This one still has a flower attached to it, and I'll get my snips and cut that off. This can just go straight into the green bin. The Agapanthus flowers, when cut, if they've still got the seed pods on them, they are a grade A fodder. So if you've got cattle on your farm or on your property or somewhere nearby, always ask permission if they're not your cattle. But you can feed the cows the Agapanthus heads with the seed pods because it is a fantastic source of nutrients for them. Just the FYI. That is all the Agapanthus out. I've got this giant root ball here that I have to get rid of and leave it nice for the owners.